Welcome, welcome. We are back at the $1 Million Pool Structural Steel Part 7. We are now getting closer to the front of the house. Well, that means we're getting closer to completing this whole package. We might have 1 or 2 more videos left, but for now, let's jump right in. We're starting off at the garage this week, and we have Pedro and the P&B crew out on site. We have to put up some temporary walls. So anytime that we're doing a load-bearing wall removal and installing new beams, what you have to do is think about this. If there is a wall that is carrying a horizontal load, right? Then when you take that wall out, anything it's supporting would fall down, right? I know it sounds simple, but the first thing that you need to do is you need to go in and you need to put a wall on either side of this load-bearing wall that you're removing. Those are called temporary support walls, and we get those in. And what's tough about them is once those walls go in, you can't really swing beams anymore. Everything has to either come vertically or you have to come right in from the bottom and bring it up, right? So it's very important though, because we're keeping all of these trusses, that we get these walls up. So there is some existing walls, existing columns, and then a series of big steel beams that are up in the ceiling. After the B&B crew does all the work necessary and gets those support walls in, then GM bros can come in, and you see them hard at work with these torches, with the grinders. They have to grind out all the bottom of the columns. They have to torch out and cut all of these big beams, and man, sparks are a-flying. And these are not small beams. They're huge I-beams. They're about 30 feet long, and then there's a smaller beam over at the back of the garage. So they get everything cut out, and they need to hoist all of these and get them out of the way. And then we make nice, clean cuts down the trusses so that we can repair them and reattach them. So the guys actually spend a decent amount of time. They have to demo out all of this area, because what it is currently is there is a big 2-car garage and a small 1-car garage. What we're doing is we're opening the whole thing. There's this wall down that dividing point, and it just makes this whole garage much more crammed. And that's just an endeavor in itself. That takes us pretty much through about half the week.
If you're looking for a cleaner way to stay focused and energized throughout your day, it's time to upgrade your routine. Introducing ENDS Performance Pouches, a nicotine-free, tobacco-free alternative designed to sharpen your mind without the crash. Their Focus Blend is completely caffeine-free, powered by premium nootropics like L-theanine, alpha-GPC, and L-tyrosine, helping improve mental clarity, support brain function, or go with the Energy Blend featuring 50 milligrams of caffeine for a clean, steady boost, no sugar, no artificial sweeteners, just simple, clean ingredients. Made in the USA, go to endspouches.com, put in promo code JGB, get your 15% off at checkout.
And then what's up next is prep. You can see the guys, they are getting in base plates, but you can't just stick these base plates in. They have the chipping hammers out, they're grinding down the concrete, there's some existing curbs in the way, some of the concrete's not level, there's some framing in the way, we have to get posts in the corners and things like that. So first we have to set a bunch of different base plates, because we have about 3 or 4 different columns that are going to go up in this area. But these columns, they also have those knife plates. And guys, we've talked about this before. We have a column that is kind of like a flagpole, and then the knife plate that sticks off of the column that is like the flag. And what this knife plate does, it's this sharp edge that is kind of just a rectangle that is attached to that column, but then it's going to slap onto the I-beam. They're either going to weld or bolt that together. And sometimes you can fit different beams like right down that knife and split it. There's all these different ways, but what it allows us to do is make a nice strong connection between a column and ultimately a beam. So a bunch of different base plates, get the columns in, but before you get the columns in, you want to make sure that all these connection details are on them so that you're not working in tight quarters, and then you can just slide those beams in and get them welded or bolted in. All right, next up is more of the same, but like I've said, it's different every time. We got another big daddy fascia beam. So first off, we're gonna have to do a lot of different prep. You guys see them using the drill press and getting all of those holes drilled into the side of this HSS, because that is where those butterflies are going to allow bolted connections to happen. Also, we don't want any of the end caps exposed because we don't want moisture and any water getting in there. So you see that we actually weld out a plate. It's like an end cap on the end of every single HSS. And then they're gonna weld out all the way around it. They're gonna grind that weld and make it nice and then fully connected. There is not gonna be anywhere that any moisture or water can get inside. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint it with primer, seal the whole thing, and then we're gonna be good to go. This particular fascia beam actually has 3 different points on which it's being bolted to different cross beams. So that means 2, 4, 6 columns and 1, 2, 3 cross beams, all intersecting with this beam. Now, I really want to break this down a little more. It seems like you just install this, but think about it. The height at every single location needs to be dead on. This isn't just like, oh, get it there. It's like there is a perforated hole that is meeting a stud that has to meet the butterfly plate exactly, right? And you're measuring, you don't know if the ground is the same height at every different location. So really just think about how detailed and intricate this has to be. Literally, this is no exaggeration, maybe 1,000 times over with every single bolt that is on this project. It just takes time and execution at a very high level to nail this. But just like many of the other beams, this is tricky. There's a whole freaking house in our way. So we get the sky track, we send that arm all the way out, and it just lands perfect. Like it is on the nose on where we need to get it. And by way of those awesome hangman jigs that GM Bros came up with, they have kind of shackled those onto the cross beams, and then they're using winches to lift that fascia beam in place. And then when they get it up there, now they have to do a bunch more work. Getting those bolts in, getting the nuts threaded on, welding everything out. So largely, I mean, we got in that big fascia beam, that was great, but largely there was a lot of tricky little work that we had to do over at the existing garage. And again, this is just where the complications of new meeting old, existing structure meeting new beams just can take some time and coordination. But we are gonna finish out the week. You see PNB, that's Pedro and the boys. They are gonna pack out that I-beam with a lot of 2x material, because what's gonna happen is that I-beam, exactly of its name, it has 2 flanges on the top and the bottom, and then a thinner portion in the middle to make up that I. What happens is, in that thinner portion, we have to pack that out with wood, because remember when I said we had to be careful with cutting those trusses down the area that this beam is going to go in. GM Bros next week, they're going to come in and they're going to hoist that beam up and they're going to lower it from the top. And then what they're going to do is P&B is going to come back in and they're going to attach the trusses all to this wood that they packed out. So getting ahead of each step is very important, and you can see us doing that here. So again, another great week, y'all. This is part 7. I appreciate every single one of you. Keep sending your comments through. A lot of people have different questions like, why aren't you just using a crane? And it's like, well, the crane costs $10,000 a week. And GM Bros said, hey, I think we can do this without a crane. Can we save a little bit of money? And I said, look, if you are not going to take any longer, then you're gonna be good to go. And that's exactly what happened here. The guys are on top of it time-wise, and we're good to go. There's a lot of other questions that people have, like, oh, why are you guys doing this? Or like, you know, asking us about different procedures, or, you know, I'm happy to answer questions about, running a construction company at this scale. You know, how do you find the right people? How do you coordinate? All that stuff is good and dandy. Keep them coming, guys. I will see y'all next week.